Today is September 18th, 2025, and the NASDAQ 100 is pressing right into the teeth of resistance in correlation of the 2.618 fib extension, and a fib extension that doesn't just mark a number, it marks a potential slowdown where we are at the top of this rising macro ascending trend line concealed and hidden uptrend line off the October 2022 bear market lows. And now the slope is stretched and the air is thin, and every candle feels like a negotiation between greed and full-blown gravity. And in my previous video, I highlighted how this reacted as a very clean shield, a hidden and concealed uptrend price support level, cutting through additional gaps and major reactionary lows to set some stops below as the rejection and bulls saved the entire trend line after a whipsaw-like reaction. You could set some stops below here, and that was good for a great 3.5% to the upside, knocking on the target of the 24,563 handle, and that was good for 3.6% in gains to the upside. But as of now, the structure is clear. We have higher highs, higher lows, and now the concealed ascending trend line has been respected and additionally reacted upon. And the 2.618 fib is one of those levels where the market rarely passes without leaving a scar here. And above it, if and when long traders were to take out the 24,700 handle, ultimately challenging the 25,000 psychological level fib extension, that opens up the door for an additional potential melt up. But until these levels are taken cleanly with conviction, this is where the rally begins to wobble. Momentum, we have the relative strength index printing around the 71 handle, strong, but is beginning to run hot here. MACD is still green, soaring in a bullish crossover state above its zero line threshold. Stochastics are already screaming overbought conditions, and the engine is still on, but the RPMs are redlined to the very tip of the right, where the needle is pressing up against the hottest feature of the gauge here. And in the ultra near term, if bulls push a daily close above the 24,563 handle, the melt up is still alive, where the 25K handle becomes the magnet. But a rejection here, and especially with a bearish candle, ultimately flips the script. And then you have negative and bearish divergences still intact and only extending on a much larger scale, ultimately bending down its infusion of damage down below. But as of now, the NASDAQ is standing on the edge of the 2.6 fib extension and the concealed ascending yellow macro trend line. The next move from here will decide whether this is a continuation into a stronger bull market or the start of a reversal that traders will begin to panic. And setting some stops up above the 24,700 handle, call it a 1% stop loss, gearing in for that first target, down to the ascending trend line for a 2% crash, down to the 23,680, ultimately threatening a sell signal off the ascending uptrend price support level for a 3.2% crash. And if things get real bad with an additional sell signal breakdown below, you're targeting the 22,900 handle for a 6.3% crash, and then ultimately the third and final target down to the 21,846 handle for a healthy 10.6% crash, ultimately undercutting and coming alive and challenging its 50-day moving average, in which you would call gravity coming back to the ground. So again, the battleground is a break above the 2.618 fib, break it clean, and the NASDAQ will begin to and re-enter its melt-up phase, but reject here, and the trap door opens.